The biggest mistake that I see newbie real estate investors make is mixing personal finances with their rental property finances. Now, I am serious. I see this all the time. You get so excited. You're like, oh my gosh, yes, finally closed on the property, got the keys, and suddenly you're hit with, oh my gosh, there's so much that needs to get done. And before you know it, you are buying your Starbucks coffee as well as your couch for your rental property all on the same card. And so many people are like, oh, it's fine. Don't worry about it. I will deal with it later whenever I do my bookkeeping and my taxes. And here's the thing. Number one, no, you won't. No, you won't. You are going to wait until the very last minute to figure it out. And number two, good luck with that. Let me tell you what really happens. Tax season rolls around. You've got 87 different charges on your account, and you have no idea if the Home Depot run was for your rental or if it was for the bathroom renovation that you were doing for your primary property. And then you have multiple different Venmo payments, and it's like, is that Venmo payment for the cleaner or was that for our bottomless brunch that one time? And now, multiple hours deep in, you are starting to pull your hair out because you're like, why didn't I organize this before? And you also cannot remember for the life of you what these different expenses even were for. And I just want to say, trust me, I have been there. When I bought my first rental, I did not have a system at all. I was managing everything from contractors to renovations to managing my guest messaging, furnishing the property, putting everything together myself, and there's just so much going on. And so my bank account just ended up being one big pot of money. And because it was already all such a mess, I would just let rent deposits come in, Airbnb payments come in, and then Target and Trader Joe's expenses would come out all of the same account too. And I honestly figured I would just organize it later. But here's the thing. Later came, and it turned into a literal disaster. Receipts got lost, Venmo transactions all blurred together. And then I honestly spent so many anxious days going through line by line every single item that was on my account. And honestly, that was just with one property. And I knew that after having that experience with one property, I needed to have a better system in place, especially if I planned on buying more properties, which, spoiler alert, I did. Because that's when it really hit me. I need to be running my real estate as a business, not as a side hobby, but a real business that has actual business tools. So let's talk about traditional banks real quick. Now, don't get me wrong, traditional banks are great, but they were just not built for real estate investors or for small business owners, honestly. Now, here's why. Number one, they charge minimum balance fees just to keep your account open. Like, why am I paying $15 a month just for the account to be open? That seems so silly to me and so counterintuitive. And a lot of the time they will punish you for moving money around in different places. For example, you'll have a set number of transactions that you're actually allowed between accounts. Why? I have no idea. Now, number two, most banks are actually going to limit the number of checking accounts you're able to have. So if you have multiple different properties, you can't open a separate checking account for each of them because the bank is going to tell you you can only have like two accounts, two checking accounts, or one checking account. And then number three, you just cannot get enough debit cards. When you start building a team, you realize how important it is to actually provide debit cards to each of your team members. Like my VA, my cleaners, my handyman, all might need their own separate card that have different limits on them. But a lot of banks will be like, sorry, you can only have these one or two cards. And number four, there's just no real visibility for your cash flow. Like, you can't really tell how much you're making. You're basically just making a guesstimate because once again, it's all just kind of going into a pot. Now, that is where Relay comes in. And let me tell you, it has absolutely changed everything for me. Now, Relay is a business banking and money management platform. So not just a place for you to hold your money, but more like a full command center for your finances. So here's what I love about Relay. You can actually open up a separate account for each of your investment properties all under the same login. And then within those properties, you can open up to 50 checking accounts per property, which is crazy. So basically the way that I have it set up is I have a different account for each property. And then within those, I'm going to have things like my operating expense account, my taxes account, my savings account, and then my owner's pay account too. So for example, I have one separate account for my Denver property. I have one separate account for my Virginia property, but then in those accounts as well, they have an operating expense account. They have a savings account. They have a separate tax account. So everything can really be super organized. You can do more accounts than that, but usually I like to stick to those 3, maybe 4 accounts per property, and that's it. And the thing I really love about Relay is that you can set it up so that it will actually automatically allocate certain amounts of money to each account. So for example, let's say you want 10% of the income that you're getting to go to your savings account. You can actually set up an auto rule in Relay and it will do it for you. Now with Relay, there are no hidden account fees eating into your cash flow. You can also issue multiple debit cards with custom spend limits. That way, if you do have a team, each one can have their own card that they're responsible for, and you can put a limit as to how much they can actually spend on it per day and total in general. And it integrates directly with bookkeeping services like QuickBooks or like Xero. Basically, it is designed to give business owners and real estate investors total clarity and control. Okay, now let me show you how I actually use it. Okay, so this is what your Relay account would look like. When you log into your home, it's going to show everything that's in your Relay account transactions all in one. Super easy to look at. Now, here's where it gets really cool. This is what I was saying about having the different accounts within one account. So for example, the way that I would have this set up is for one specific property, I then have all of these accounts in there as well, which is so cool. So you can have your income checking account. You can have your operating expenses. You can have your owner's pay, your profit, your taxes, your business savings account. There's so many different ways that you can do this. Now, I will say, for me personally, I've tried having tons and tons of different accounts. I personally like to keep it relatively simple. I keep a separate account that's a savings account for my taxes. Then I have an operating expense account, and that's where all of the income comes in. And then I also have a savings account. And in my operating expense account, that's also where all of the money goes out. So all of the bills go out from that operating expense account. It makes it super easy whenever you are trying to do taxes and things like that, because you can see where everything's coming in. And then you have your own separate savings account as well as your tax account. So you can see and make sure that you're putting away enough money for your taxes. So this is why I really love Relay. And then if you are working with a business partner, right, and you guys have your own separate owner's pay and you want to pay the business partner out and you want to pay yourself out and you want to keep that separate, you can also split that up. So I have a couple of partners on a few of my properties, and we do the exact same thing where we each have our own owner's pay so we can see exactly where the money's going. And something I know I didn't mention before, but you can add team members to your account. So something that I really like is I can come here and add like any other partners onto the account so that they can see, or I can add a virtual assistant if I want them to help with bookkeeping and stuff, but you give them specific accesses, right? So there's a permission level where it's read only, administrator, bill payer, card holder, which is really cool. And so I have team members as well, like my cleaners, like my virtual assistants, where they're just card holders. So I can actually set them to that. And I don't have to worry about anyone stealing money from the account or anything like that, like God forbid, right? So another thing that I really love about Relay, this is what I was telling you before, is you can actually create your own separate cards, right? So you can create a brand new card for yourself, for a team member, virtual versus physical. Like my team members in Virginia, they have cards because sometimes they have to go to Walmart or go to an actual store to go buy things. Or if it's something last minute where Amazon isn't going to get there in time, they can actually go out and buy whatever they want. And you can say what account it's going to be coming from, if it's operating expenses, if there's a backup account in case there's not enough money in there, and then who the primary card holder. So let's go ahead and just make up where this is coming from right now so you can see how this works. Then you can set restrictions, right? Approve or block transactions, set custom spending limits. So I'm going to say max a day, they can spend $500, max for the month, $2,000. Right? Which is really great. You can do ATM withdrawals. We actually don't even allow this because there's really nothing that anyone's having to buy in cash. You can set the vendor category restriction. So let's say you want them only to pay for certain things from Walmart and that's it. You can literally set it up here, right? And you can select whichever vendor you want. Obviously, there's nothing set up here right now, but for this right now, we're going to uncheck that. And then also block international transactions. I'd highly recommend this if you're buying in the US. There really shouldn't be anything that they're buying internationally. And then if you want, you can customize your card, which is really cute. We love that. You can change it to however you want. Provide their first line. I always just include the business as well. So I'll usually be like, let's say one of my businesses is called Tati & Co. So I'll have that in there. I'll just do Tati Co. And then give the card a nickname. We're just going to make this up right now. Peter's card. and then you select your business address and it gets sent to them. And so standard shipping is free, expedited shipping you have to pay for. So this is one of the most fabulous things about Relay, truly. And so another thing that you can do, I know we're going to be covering so many things right now, and I'm just bombarding you with a lot of info, but you can send payments out to contractors. So let's say you, or like to your cleaner and stuff, for example. I do pay for most of my cleaners in Turno in an app, but they also do hot tub cleaning, which is a separate payment. So I actually just set up a recurring payment for them here. You can set it up ACH 1 to 2 business days or same day business. I'd highly recommend doing either one of those, but you can also do an international wire, a domestic wire, a check. You can state where it's going to be coming from, the exact amount, and then they can put in their account type so it goes to them automatically and you don't have to worry about it. Now, a brand new feature that Relay just came out with is their invoicing feature. So if you come out here, you click Get Paid, you'll see that they have this invoice, and this is perfect. As someone who is an interior designer, I'm invoicing people all the time for projects. So if you do have another side business, you're really probably going to need something like this invoicing feature. And I love that they have it directly in the same app that you use for banking, right? So the way that you would do this is you'd come here, create invoice, you click the Get Paid button, and they have the invoices here. You just put the ID, customer details, issue date. We're just going to keep it the same date right now. You can put the line item. Let's say it's for design project 1, and then part 1. And then we'll have design project part 2. And we'll say that this was $5,000 and this was $4,000. And so it'll create a whole invoice for you. If you want, you can include a memo, design project Joshua Tree. And then you can review your invoice and you can set it up so it has automated reminders so you don't even have to think about it. Create and send your invoice. And you are good to go. And now you can also copy and paste this payment link as well so that they can pay you directly through there, which is really, really cool. So Relay is honestly just such an awesome tool. They have so many great features. I highly recommend going and playing around with it. Relay has 3 different tiers depending on what stage of business you're at. The first tier is the starter tier. It's $0 a month, and this is honestly perfect if you're just getting started. You get multiple accounts and all of the core tools too. The next level is the grow stage, and so this tier is $30 a month. This is perfect for small teams with growing cash flow complexities. And then you've got the $90 a month tier, which is more for companies who are ready to really scale and do it bigger, better, faster. So no matter where you are at in your journey, there is a plan for you. Because if you are still using your personal account to run your properties and to run your business, I don't care if you're house hacking, please stop. Like, I've been there. It is so stressful. And then trust me, the cleanup is never as simple as you think. Relay has by far been the best solution that I found, especially as I've scaled my portfolio more, worked with more clients, and just needed more structure. So if you're ready for real clarity and more control over your businesses and your finances, you need to get started with Relay. Go ahead and check the link in my description. That way, if you get signed up and you fund your account with $100, you will actually get $50 put into your account. And honestly, who doesn't like free money? Just make sure you use the link below. All right, go open that separate account, go organize your money, and let's make tax season way less painful next year. Bye, fam.